Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Teresa and I'm the car boot crafter, and I'm in the middle of making these little graduation boxes. As you know, it's graduation season again, and two of my granddaughters are graduating from nursery, so I thought I'd like to make them a little treat box, and I saw something similar to this in one of our local shops. But they're not doing them anymore. They did them last year, but they're not doing them anymore. So I thought I'll put my craft room to the test and see if we can't do it. So this is what I've come up with. So it's a little, like a graduation hat, and you take the top off and you've got a little box inside, which I'm going to fill with little treats and goodies for the children in the class that are graduating. So two granddaughters are all in the same class with about 20 others. So I've set myself a bit of a task, I think. But let me show you how I'm making them. Right, so I've used the X-cut dies. I've used the second one, which is that one, which is about 8.5 centimetres. So I've used that one to cut out 3 circles, and let me pop that to one side. And along with the 3 circles, I'll need 2 pieces of card. Now that's the length of the A4 paper by 6 centimetres. So 6 centimetres by 29.5 centimetres. And then I've got a square which is 10.5 centimetres by 10.5 centimetres, and a little tiny little square for just on the top. Let me show you, just on the top where I've tucked in the tassel. And you'll also need either a tassel or some gold thread to make your own. So let's pop that to one side and let's start. I have done the second one, but I've already prepped it. So you will need 2 of those. So what you'll do is you'll pop it into your scoreboard, and I've got mine on the centimetre side, and I'm going to score it at 1.5 centimetres, the full length of it. So all the way down. I'm going to flip it over and do it again just to make sure that we've broken those fibres so I can fold them over. Right, there we go. I'll pop my scoreboard away, and you'll do both of these pieces in exactly the same way. So I've already done that one, so just fold that over, and I'm not going to use my bone folder because I do need it to be at a 90-degree angle. So just go like that, and then grabbing my scissors, I'm going to just all the way along. Doesn't have to be neat, doesn't have to be exactly the same sizes. As you can see, mine are a bit irregular, and just do it the full length of the card. Keep going. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the edge of my table just to give it some curve. That's going to help me when I try to create the box. Well, I say try, when I am going to create the box. So nearly at the end, helps to have a good pair of sharp scissors to go the full length. And I've bent it over so that what I'm doing is butting the bottom of my blade into that corner and snipping. It just makes life a little bit quicker for me, but do it however works for you. There we go. And when I've done all of that, I'm going to flatten it all out, and then I'm going to use, like I say, the edge of my work surface, which you don't think you can see, but I'm going to pull it and pull it down so that I just give it a curve, a bit of a curl on it. So so that I'm trying to get that going on. Or you can use your bone folder, whichever you're more comfortable with doing. You know, you might want to get your bone folder and just go in like that, the full length of it, like that. Okay, and you'll do that to both of your long pieces. When you've done that, you're going to bring in one of your circles, and I've already prepped one with some red liner tape on there. Now the red liner tape, just because it grabs, I tried it with glue, and even with tacky glue it didn't want to do it. It just fought me all the time. So I'm just going to curl that a little bit more because I want it to go around that paper. And now I'm going to bring in all those teeth that I've just created so that we have a good curl going on. Okay, and now I'm going to, not going to be easy seeing it on black unfortunately, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the edge there of my circle and I'm going to butt it right up there to the crease mark, and I'm going to bring down my papers, the paper teeth, and just secure the first one onto that lining tape, and then I'm going to start bringing it, I'm curling it around that paper and just bringing down, having the bottom under, having my fingers there so I've got something to press against, and I'm going to bring them down. I'm not going to worry too much about getting them all stuck because they overlap, so as long as I can get a few to bite, then I'm happy with that, and I'll come back and do the rest afterwards. So I've gone all the way around there, and as you can see, some of them have grabbed and some of them haven't. Right, so I'm going to get my red liner tape that I've put somewhere safe, and I'm going to put a piece on that on the end of that card. So I'm going to put a piece on here, going down. Oops. Actually, I'm going to take it up to that top tooth, just because I want that to catch on the other paper where it overlaps. So get rid of that, and I'm just going to take that liner off, and I'm going to, oh, these stick to you terrible, don't they? Right, got it to sit there, and now I'm going to carry on with the rest of this. So I'm going to move it around and glue it, get it to stick onto the liner tape all the way around, and then when I come to the end I'm going to line that top up and get that liner tape to catch there. Okay, now it looks a little bit messy, but that's why we've got 3 circles, because I'm going to glue one on the top to hide all of that gubbins. Okay, and I'm also, actually I'm going to use my clear glue, also going to run a line of glue on the inside just to catch that there. So line of glue just inside, there we go, and I'm going to pop one of my pegs on just to hold it while the glue takes. Right, now pushing that all down as much as I can, and I'm going to bring in another piece of another black circle, and I'm now going to put some glue all the way around so I can catch all of those teeth that I've used to grab the inner circle all the way around. and make sure there's plenty in the middle as well, because we want it to grab completely. And if you want to, you can go round underneath those black teeth and get them to glue onto, well, these will be gluing onto the bottom or onto the back of the other little cuts that I've got. So there we go. Now, oops, very carefully, I'm going to take that off to see if that's grabbed. That's grabbed. So very carefully, I'm going to pop this on the top like that. Line it all up, and that then hides all of our workings on the inside, bottom, sorry, of the box. So I'm going to pop that to one side, and I'm going to pop one of my glue bottles in there just to hold it while I tidy up a little bit. There we go. Pop things away. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to grab my second piece. Now, I'm going to have to put the lining tape. If I put the lining tape on first, I think that's going to help me. So, get rid of that bit and put a piece of lining tape on. I'm going to put one on here, on that side, and I'm going to put one on the inside as well, just to make sure that it grabs both sides like that. Oops, get it to stick. This stuff can be really good, but it's also very fiddly, because once you've laid it down, that's it, you're done. Okay, so that's on. So I've got a piece of lining tape on the inside one end and on the outside on the other, so that when it comes together, I've got two pieces holding that firm. Okay, so hopefully that's stuck a little bit. Let me just go round. I like to go around the ends with whichever bottle I've got in there, just to make sure it's caught on all of those edges. Okay, now I'm going to use this piece, and I'm going to go round like that. Now I want this to fit, right? It's also going to, it's the lid, you see, so I need it to fit, but I need it not to be too tight. So I'm going to take the red liner tape off, oops, both sides, and hope it doesn't grab onto anything else. And then I'm going to pop that over. I'm just going to let it sit for a minute, and then I'm going to push it so that we've got a loose fit. I don't want a tight fit, I want it to be fairly loose. Okay, we've got quite a big overlap. If that bothers you, then just take it off and cut a little piece off. Okay, now then let's make sure it goes back over. There we go. Yeah, so happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to pop that back in there to hold that down, and I'm going to bring in my square. Now I'm going to push all of these in so that they lie at a 90-degree angle from the main body of the lid. Now then, when you get to where you've doubled up, where you've got your crease, I'm going to cut those off, the overlap off. So let me just fold these back out the way so I can see. I've identified these four. I'm going to cut off like that, just because I don't want it too thick there. Right, and then I'm going to fold them all in. Get you going. There we go. It can fight a little bit, it can be quite fiddly, this done a few of them now, but I'll get there in the end. I'm not going to let it win. Right, there we go. So they're all in. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my glue bottle and I'm going to put some glue on as many of these as I can. So I'm just going along and putting a little drop of glue on each of them. I'm not being too particular about it, just making sure that I've got glue on all of them, because then I'm going to come back in with my finger to make sure that I go all the way to the edge. I don't want to have a big blob of glue leaking out onto the top of the card, so I'm going to use my finger now. So just going in and making sure that glue is spread over the whole of those tabs, so that if they're tucked under, they glue to each other. But more importantly, I'm trying to make sure that I can get to the end without going on this edge. I want to keep it on the top. So, and the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want the lid starting to lift as they're being opened and closed. Okay, so I've gone all the way around. Let me just grab a wipe and wipe that off. Now I'm going to pop it back on to the bottom, and this keeps the shape for me. If I did it without the lid being on there, then I might end up with something that's a bit elongated instead of round, which is what I want. So choose which side you think is the better side and pop that. So I want this to be the top, so I'm going to pop that face down, and then I'm going to bring my box in. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to centralise it in the middle of that card. So I'm going to pop it down, and they will fight you, so you will have to push down a little bit. Now I'm going to make sure that I've got that as central as I can, and I'm going to hold it down for a minute while hopefully the glue grabs the bottom, its bottom on there. Take that off, and it's grabbed in some places but not in all. So I'm going to bring in my trusty glue bottle and hold that while I get my circle of card. And again, this is going to go on the inside to keep it tidy and hide all the workings. So I'm going to make sure that I've got plenty of glue around the edge so that it grabs all of those teeth that I cut, and then I'm going to make sure it goes all the way across because I want it to grab the top of that, the hat. So there we go. So I'm very careful to manoeuvre that back in, take the bottle out and drop this glue side down in there. Okay, and using my bottle, this is the way I do it, it's just, I just find it easier. I'm going to hold it in place and I'm going to manoeuvre the bottle all the way around so it grabs all of those teeth, so it just holds on to that. I'm going to pop that to one side now while I do my tassel. So I've got some gold thread and I've cut a couple of lengths. It doesn't matter what length they are as long as they're long enough. Remove that red liner tape before it catches and gets in the way, and move my bottles out the way. So the way I do my tassels, which I'm sure most people do it similar, is I just wrap it around my fingers a few times until I'm happy with how thick that is. So keep going, keep going, keep going. So I think that's about thick enough for my tassel. So I'm going to chop that off, and then I'm going to grab my longest piece and I'm just going to thread it through and loop it. Hold on, let me go back. make sure I've got, it's always the same when you're on camera, it just never behaves. Right, so I've got my loop, hold on, fingers and thumbs, got my loop, and I'm just going to thread it and thread that through like that. So I'm not tying a knot or anything, I'm just threading it through like that. That's the top. Okay, so now I'm going to lay that down like that across my second piece, and this is going to then form the top. So I'm just going to cross it over. Oops, actually if I do it sideways on, that might be easier for me to do and easier for you to see. I haven't cut the loops yet, you'll see why in a minute. I just find it easier for me. If you want to cut your loops first, then you carry on and do that if you've got your own way of doing your tassels. So just, oh, very carefully, I'm just going to tie the little knot there, and before I do a second one, I'm just going to move it up a little bit to where I want it to be. There we go, and I'm going to tie a second knot just to hold that like that. There we go, and then I always flip it over like that and do a second one on the other side, just so as I know it's good and tight. And I'll do 2 of those so they don't come undone. Now sometimes I'll leave them to hang down, but I have found with this thread one of them will always stick out, so working out which one is going to be the one that sticks out, I'm going to cut that off. Okay, so now that I have got that, I'm going to pop that to one side, and hopefully this is now glued. So I'm going to pop the bottom on like that, and we've got our box almost complete. So I'm now going to decide, oh there, see that one's sticking up, so I'm going to cut that one off as well. That was from when we tied it round. So I'm going to decide how long I want this to be, and then I'll decide how big I want my tassel to be. So with tassels, they generally hang off the side of the hat like that. So I'm going to cut this about there. Okay. And I'm going to bring in my little round circle, which is about yeah, it's about 1.5 centimeters, and I've already put some double-sided tape on the back, so I'm just going to take that off, and then I'm going to catch the end of the tassel on there. So let me just grab that. So I'm just going to lay it on there like that, so that it catches into the double-sided tape like that. And then I'm going to pop it in the middle of my box. So just checking where the middle is, it's about there. Okay, so I'm going to take the lid off, and I'm going to push that down from the inside, just to make sure that it has caught completely. That's easier, isn't it, that way, on there. And then pop that back on. Now I haven't finished my tassel yet. Pop that on. So now that I've got it in place, I can see how long I want my tassel to be. So I'm going to bring in my scissors, and I want it to be about there, and I'm just going to cut all of that bottom bit off. So now I've got my tassel. And then just to finish it off, I've got 2 squares of gold tissue, that I'm just going to pop into the middle like that. Actually, what I usually do, where's it gone? Can't see it. This one will do. What I usually do is pop that into the middle there and then crunch it down like that, and that way I get it in without ripping it. When I tried it when I tried to just push it in from the top, it did rip. Actually, what I'm also going to do is pop a little bit of glue on the bottom, pop that in there like that so that the gold tissue stays in place, and then I will fill it full of sweets like I have with this one. So I'm going to have to go to the shop and get some more sweets, and I shall get different ones. So I will fill it full of sweets like that. There we go. Fold that all in and then pop the lid, which is the one I've just made, this one. Pop the lid back on like that, and there we have a graduation treat box. I love them. I'm really, really pleased that I gave it a go. I really am. I think they're so cute. And I hope that the children, what I'll do is I'll give them to the teachers, and the teachers will, with a little label on, put their names on, or with, because I know they're going to be doing some scrolls as well to go with the when they do their graduation ceremony. So yeah, I think they're cute. I'm really pleased, and I hope that the children and their families like them too. Okay guys, well I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you like my little graduation hats, and you give them a go, whether it's for nursery children graduating, or maybe it's even some biggies graduating from uni. Do for anyone. And you could put, I've put sweets in these, but you could put anything you like, even a piece of jewellery in there, couldn't you? All right guys, well I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.